Let's discuss museum displays. Hey guys, welcome back to the Prehistoric Life Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Crawford, and I'm back from the East Coast road trip. So first thing I want to go over, sorry for the delay on the American Museum, the Smithsonian, the Carnegie. The Carnegie, I have to send the episode to be reviewed by their marketing team, so it's just going to take a bit because they want to review it, but then I also have to completely edit it and get voiceovers from me and two other people. So it's a little complicated. The Smithsonian and the AMNH, that was the other one, the New York one. I have to basically completely edit it from scratch. So I have to get all of the images, get pictures and stuff, and then do complete voices overs. So it's just taking a little longer than a normal episode. The reason I did that is, especially at the AMNH and Smithsonian, they were just too crowded for me to just good example, looking at the Virginia one, I could just stand there and talk for half an hour about the same thing, and not one person would walk by. But at the AMNH, the American Museum of Natural History, and the Smithsonian, there was just a lot of people there. So I didn't have that capability, and I didn't want to be in other people's way. It's also very just densely packed. So one person standing in one place is kind of looking at everything. So I didn't want to, I just am going to speak over it. Just a lot easier for long form content like I'm trying to make with these, but it is just going to take a bit longer. So I do apologize for that. But today, I actually want to discuss something I found very interesting, looking between specifically AMNA, all of the museums that I've seen from out west to all the way up to Connecticut. But I'm going to focus primarily on East Coast things because that's the most recent one, and it's easiest to find examples of what I'm talking about because I just remember them so vividly right now because it was literally 4 days ago or whatever. But whatever, that's not really important. I want to talk about specific articulation of specimens. That's just word salad. I get it. So first, dumbing it down for not just me, but for everybody that's watching this. Articulation, I hear a lot of people throw that word around. It literally just refers to how the specimen is put together or how it's discovered. But it's usually more than one fossil. So this isn't articulation, but an entire skull intact with all the teeth, the tusks, and a vertebra is articulation. But it gets a little more complicated whenever you're doing a museum display, especially with entire specimen. This is going to be very weird for me filming this because I'm going to throw images up to my left and right. So actually, I should find where the center of my screen is. So I'm going to throw things up, but I can't see them. So if I'm looking off to the side, just know I'm looking off at the specimen. But there's two primary forms of articulation that I want to talk about. That I'm sure there's technical terms for it, but what I refer to it as is let me think of a good name for the first one. I don't want to call it academic articulation because that sounds that's kind of a comparative articulation. That's a good way of putting it. So we'll have comparative articulation. I'll throw a specimen and I'll throw a definition or something. So but I'll also just say it. For me, comparative articulation is whenever the specimen is just laid out to the side, You can just see it from head to tail, flat, not very, I don't want to say lifelike, but like it just shows the specimen. Versus, I think one of my personal favorites is dynamic articulation, is what I'm going to refer to it as. So again, I'll throw like a little specimen up and a definition. So dynamic articulation is, how can I put this? Whenever it's doing something like actual action, not just standing there or walking or running, is actually in motion. So there's actually a few specimens that I want to go over to get my point across. I'm going to use a lot of Allosaurus because I love Allosaurus. It is my favorite dinosaur. So I'm going to just use it. But also because I do see, since it is still a fairly common dinosaur that you get like full body specimens, you do get to see a lot of different versions. So the first one I want to look at is the one at the Carnegie. And again, I'll throw a specimen up on camera. Whoa, my camera is way out of focus there. Hello. There we go. The one at the Carnegie, the Allosaurus at the Carnegie. Very beautiful display. I'm pretty sure, like, if I remember straight, it's like 70% real bone. Very beautiful. It makes sense. It's mostly real bone from what I remember. You're displaying in a way where all the bone is easily accessible. You don't have to bend it in a weird way. You're just showing Allosaurus off. So you have this very beautiful just side profile of Allosaurus that just shows Fragilis just beautifully, just very vividly, very beautifully. But on the other hand of that, lean this way a little bit so I'll have space. It was the Allosaurus at the, I'm trying to remember where it is, Smithsonian. At the Smithsonian. You have the Allosaurus of the Smithsonian. It's crouching. It's sitting. It has a nest. It's nesting. It's a mother. You see its action. You see it squatted down, its tail wrapped around the nest. Its head is up. It's looking for danger. Very dynamic, very beautiful. It shows exactly, it shows action. It shows life. It shows what this creature might have actually done. It's a very unique and beautiful display. You get to see the anatomy of Allosaurus. If I remember straight, this one is also Fragilis because it's the common one. But you get to see the anatomy along with action. You get to see like what these creatures actually might have done. And I think that is a very powerful thing to show off. Another really beautiful example using two different specimens. Well, actually, I'll continue with Allosaurus. Both at the AMNH. Both very famous Allosaurus specimen. So one's also not just an Allosaurus specimen. This is the beautiful thing you can do with articulation. Or not articulate, well, yeah, with articulation, but dynamic articulation. The first thing I want to throw up, wow, this thing keeps going out of focus, is the Barosaurus and Allosaurus when you first walk in the door. Honestly, this is a beautiful example of how you can do both the comparative articulation and dynamic articulation in the same specimen. It's a very, very beautiful example. The Allosaurus, if you look at it, just very generically is just standing there like a generic Allosaurus. But you look right across from it, and you have this giant rearing Barosaurus defending its young. So you have this action between these two very famous dynamic creatures from the Jurassic. on how they could have very realistically interacted. And I think it's a very beautiful thing. So the Barosaurus, you do have more of a dynamic pose, while the Allosaurus is more of a comparative pose. But it being in that comparative pose, looking up at the Barosaurus makes it dynamic. And I think it's a very beautiful thing. And the other one is probably one of the most famous Allosaurus specimens. It is the one looking over the Apatosaurus. This is also a very beautiful example of comparative dynamics. So this shows the Allosaurus feeding, which is a dynamic thing. It shows it pinning down part of this Apatosaurus, if I'm not mistaken, and feeding on it, making it dynamic. But you get this very beautiful side view, making it very comparative. And that's a very unique thing. Now, in contrast, I'm actually going to use a completely different dinosaur for this. Like I said, we look at a lot of Allosaurus, but I do also want to look at other specimens. We have the Stegosaurus here. This very beautiful Stegosaurus in the AMNH. No, this is not Apex. I do have pictures of Apex. I could throw Apex on the screen. Do I want to deal with figuring out how to download pictures again? No. You're getting this Stegosaurus. You'll have to wait for Apex for that episode. But I digress. You have this very beautiful side profile. Okay. I hate that this thing keeps going out of focus. You have this very beautiful side profile of Stegosaurus. You get this very, very beautiful side profile. You get to see all the plates, all the thagomizers. Actually, I don't think this one has gular no, it doesn't have gular osteoderms. You can see it from the side. You see all its ribs. You see its legs. You see its skull. You see everything. And you can get like a cool front view. I'll throw that up right here because why not? But also, let's go to the North Carolina Museum of Natural History in Raleigh. Okay, geez, can this thing stay in focus? Do I have to be this close the whole time? Let's go to the North Carolina Museum of Natural History. A very unique way of doing it. Not unique. It's the comparative way of doing it. Their Acrocanthosaurus. It's the same one in the Virginia Museum of Natural History. So if I throw up an image of there, you'll get what I mean. You get the beautiful side profile. You get skull down to the tip of the tail, and you can see all of it from the skull to the tail to the hip in a very if somebody were to just draw a side profile, it's a side profile. That's what it is. It's a weird way of putting it, but it's a mugshot. You're getting the mugshot versus these like dynamic poses. Now, I think this is a very important thing to discuss. I'll throw two more examples. One at the Carnegie, where we have the Ceratosaurus and Dryosaurus. You get the Ceratosaurus hunting the Dryosaurus. But on the other side, we have the Allosaurus from the Virginia Museum of Natural History, which is actually Big Al, which I think is a very important thing to have a comparative pose for because of all of the pathology, so you can see it a lot cleaner. But you can see one is showing the action of these creatures and one is showing the anatomy of these creatures. All right, but that out of the way, I think both are very important to have. The real question is why, though? If dynamic draws more people in because you show these creatures in very unique positions that aren't seen often other outside of paleo art, and you can go and see the actual fossils of these creatures, but in a very beautiful pose. Yeah, that's cool and all, but like, what if I can't see all of the creature? Like, what if it shows like a very lifelike way of doing it, but stuff can be covered, stuff can be missing, pathologies might be hidden or out of view if it's at a specific angle, things like that. Whereas the comparative poses are important because it shows you that full dinosaur. You can see all of it. Just the iconic, just standing there, facing forward, straight, shoulders attention, basically that kind of idea of a pose. Both are very important because one shows like life of the creature, while the other shows just the creature in its wholeness. And I think that's a very beautiful thing, and why these museum displays are more than just specimens. They're like, it's an art form. And I think it's a very beautiful thing. And I think this is just something that I wanted to discuss. So, you know what? Comment down below if you prefer more dynamic or more comparative poses. I personally stand with dynamic. I think there's a lot of just harsh academic comparative poses out there. Most museums have that, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's very beautiful to show a specimen in that way. But those dynamic poses, I feel, are also very important because they give this very beautiful, vivid recreation of these creatures and breathes life into them, and kind of shows them as like fluid moving creatures instead of just like a rigid academic structure, if that makes sense. So, you know what? Comment down below which side you're on. Go with why. This isn't a one or the other. I think museums should have both. But which one do you like more? Just, you know what? Just talk about it in the comment section. But that's all from me. I'm your host, Eric Crawford. This has been the Prehistoric Life Podcast. And remember, keep it prehistoric. Goodbye.